Good evening and welcome to T-Bird Live. I'm your host, Trina Bird, and tonight's guest is Nicole Walker, CEO of LadyDay Art Express. And our topic for the show today is dig deep into your passion.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
We are live with Nicole Walker. How are you this evening in Chicagoland time?
Cold, but blessed and warm in the soul.
Oh, you know what? Well, how cold is it there? Because Chicago is always freezing.
I think it's like 20s and 30s, and like we had a really nice
Wow.
68 day a few days ago. Then it dropped down to 50. Then it's like,
Wow. Yeah, same for us. Same for us. It was beautiful yesterday and today, man, just kind of snuck up on us. We're 41 degrees, but it feels like 35. I think it feels like 25. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to have you join our show as our guest. We did our pre-show and I got to know you, and I am excited to have you be introduced to our listening audience so they can learn all about you and the wonderful things that you are doing with your business. So let's get started. We didn't talk about this yesterday, but how did you come up with the name LadyDay Art Expressions? When I was actually entering it into the setup of the show, I was like, that's a cool name. I wonder what the thought was behind it. So we'll start with that. What was the thought about LadyDay? Or I mean, we get to Art Expressions, but LadyDay, where'd that come from?
I'm a big fan of Billie Holiday, and her real name was Eleanor Fagan. A big fan. So I used Lady Day. As we know, she wore the gardenia, had the beautiful updo, and all that.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Big impact on today's culture. Big. A lot of people wouldn't exist without her. Definitely. Or, seeing her and then trying to model what she did. And hopefully the same will do for you. So, Nicole, tell me a little bit about your business. I was so inspired by your commitment to the business, to your family, and then subsequently you turned it into a business, which is always a great story when when you start a business. They always tell you that in order to get people to buy into your product, you need to have a story behind it. And you have an inspiring story to be such a young person. So we'll start there. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the story behind your business, and then we'll move right into what you do as a business.
So as you mentioned, there's always a story. So I'm going to tell you a bit about me and the mix of everything. I am getting to a point with all this. So I want to take a moment to say thank you for letting me be able to take the time and speak to anyone who's going to watch this and promote this information, because it is valuable to not just the community, which is the autism community, but just people in general, because we all have to come together eventually.
Yes.
So my company again is named after Billie Holiday. She had a big impact on me. As you know, she sang Strange Fruit. And there's a lot of background if you look into the fact that with the election and Black history, they did a lot to try to get her to try to stop singing Strange Fruit, and she wouldn't. So, with that said, in my own way, I was brought up as being a caregiver. I don't think that was the intent that my parents had for me initially. Of course, life takes us in different directions, but I was adopted at 2 weeks old in 1992, and my parents had been on a waiting list for 7 years, and they were already in their mid 40s. So naturally, with that said, my parents were already as of being a certain age. They took care of family members and friends, whether they played the role as being there directly or just visiting or bringing something or calling, just taking the time to be there for family or friends, whether it was mental or physical health. Eventually, when I was 10 years old, my grandmother on my dad's side, she had Alzheimer's, late stage. She had been living in her home. She hadn't cleaned in years. She had one of the things she had stopped doing, as I'm assuming is part of the depression. She had stopped cleaning her home, and she was a smoker back in the day, and she was born in the 20s. So she continued to have that habit, and you get an idea of how her health was. So
Mhm.
anyway, she lived with us until from 2002 to 2003 or 2004, when again my parents were of a certain age at that time, and my father was obese, and he also had heart issues among other things, and diabetes and so forth. So I was just able to see and experience not just the empathy, but what it really means to take care of someone else and to have a why. And I was getting my own why. It wasn't just, I didn't really have a connection with my grandmother like that, truth be told, but I saw that you take care of the ones you love. I was close to
Mhm.
my father, and he passed away in 2016, unfortunately. But I honestly don't believe that he would have wanted to be alive. I'm very much like him in many ways. I don't believe he would have wanted to live a life despite having had a good life. I don't think he would have wanted to continue to live and be on life support, because that's what it would have been for him. So my mother is still alive. She's 73 now. She has late stage dementia, and she's also bedridden. And to me, it's like taking care of a shell of a person. It's not her anymore. She gets time and places confused. So that's where the Alzheimer's and dementia and the mental health kicks in as to why I support that. My own children have autism and some form of ADHD. My son, they're a year and a half, 2 months, 2 years apart. They were diagnosed at 2 and 4 years old. So we had a head start as to their needs, which was really a blessing in its own way, despite its challenges. I love to see my son, I did not mention, he's 8 and my daughter is 7. My son is more high functioning than my daughter, and he understands very well, but he needs constant redirection. And my daughter, who is 7, she she a whole grown woman. She is very spirited. Despite being nonverbal, she understands very well. And you know when she doesn't understand. She's very intelligent, just like her brother. So they drive me nuts, but I drive them nuts as their mother, and that's okay. So, let's see, what else was I gonna say? So you have to excuse me. I'm looking at my notes that I had that I wanted to pinpoint here. So initially, my father, again, he was a big impact on me. He was studying to be a nurse. His health prevented him from finishing probably like the last year or two of his studies. So I initially trained to be a CNA. My dad wanted me to do that back when I was like 16. I did do the studies. I just didn't get certified because I waited too long and forgot everything and didn't take the state test. And so I decided to study personal training. Eventually that went into when it was just becoming big, almost, oh wow, I feel old, about 12, more than 12 years ago now, right? So when group training was to becoming more of a thing. So it was physical fitness and somewhat of mental health, but not more so. I got certified. I worked in different big box gyms and I obtained my bachelor's degree. And I used that and started working as a personal trainer. I transitioned from working just not just as we all play a role, but not just as a porter, not just as a salesperson. I actually was doing what I wanted to do. Again, my daughter was born in 2014, so life happened. My father died. Um, and eventually I was in and out of working, and I've worked in and out of warehouses. I've worked in telemarketing, even as one of those dreaded debt collectors as well. So I've worked several roles, and I knew no matter what I wanted to do, even though I truly did love physical fitness, what I got my bachelor's degree, I put all that time and effort in, but eventually things changed, people changed. I knew I want to work for myself. So after deciding to, I don't want to say take a break, just it
Mhm.
felt like the constant distractions of life in the sense of, okay, you're working in a warehouse, you're not doing what you want to do. The last thing I was doing was getting my recertification, and I didn't even finish it because it was near when COVID-19 hit us all. And I was just seeing the impact it had on my household, and it was a struggle. My mom, she was living by herself, and and she didn't actually have a diagnosis for dementia until 2020, but she had early symptoms, like she was seeing things. I don't want to say the diabetes, but after that it was just more stuff was adding up. So we tried it where she was okay, could live by herself. I would drive down there where she was in a very rural area for her property and go get the use her car and take her to doctor's appointments once or twice a week, and it just became too much. Eventually got to the point where I remember going down there like a week after my birthday in July of 2020, and it just hit me. As much as I didn't want to, I love my mother, but it's a lot, the caregiving, and I've seen it growing up. So anyone could take it any way they want to, but I saw that she hadn't taken her pills. She Her bed, and even though I was down there, mind you, this 24/7 thing, the caregiving, just saw the signs of, okay, she didn't throw this away, or this isn't the right place. I'm seeing, her adult diapers laying here. I was just seeing too much. I brought her home that day, and I knew what I was taking on, but going through it, is a whole nother thing. So she came and began to live with me in 2020. I was still able to work for a few months, and I was in a call center. I hadn't been there 3 months, so I could not take a family leave of absence despite wanting to. So I just had to do what I could and accept the fact that I could no longer work. And I have been, pretty much home. And I believe all of us had, with young kids or grandchildren or whatever, if you had them close to your home or you were trying to help out, your kids were not in school, or they were in and out from being in person to being virtual. So I have not actually really worked unless it was for myself. So back to what I was saying, again, with those challenges, I started my company in 2021 when I realized it was now or never. Not
Mhm.
in the sense of that the world was going to end, but I had depression. I still do, but I'm managing it more so now. I felt like my world was flipped upside down, trying to be superwoman, even with my husband's help, trying to be superwoman, trying to be super mom, be the maid, be transportation. It was just too much.
Be a
So
wife, be a, friend, all that. Yeah.
yeah, so one of the hobbies that I did was cooking, gardening, all this stuff. And I don't want to say stuff loosely like it didn't mean anything to me, but we all have what sticks with us and what doesn't. And
Mhm.
art did. As a child, as I said, I admire my father very much. He was a youth group leader as well with the Seventh day Adventist Church. Very passionately, I loved it and did as long as he could, far as his health. So, arts and crafts was one of the things that just stuck with me, even though it sat dormant, and the time of being a mother, doing whatever you do as a teenager, all that joy came back to me, all that release. You know, so that's when I realized, and I kind of had to let go of the idea, and it's a whole nother topic there, but I had to let go of the idea of who I was with my past passion, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I incorporated the idea that the physical fitness thing that I want to do before, it was originally a group training program for parents with autism. We have the programs where mothers work out with their babies postpartum. And it was kind of like that, but altered a bit. So I just incorporated things far as, hey, I can promote. This is a different day, a different time. How do I adapt? I can promote this. I can promote not just the autism, which, absolutely 5% of each sale that we get goes to Best Buddies, which is an autism nonprofit. But for years, prior to my dad dying, I had signed up for Avon 39 when it was still in Chicago, the breast cancer walk. I do the Fight for Air climb in Chicago as well. I have done the Alzheimer's Association walk. And I recently, just because of my depression, just like, when I've been in a very dark place where you feel like there's no tomorrow, the, what is the name of this? I can't think of the name of the association, but anything that prevents suicide as well, because
Mhm.
that's a major thing as well, as far as mental health. So, where I not only take part in those events, I volunteer when I'm able to, of course, and anything far as food drives and anything that's opportunity. My daughter goes to a special needs school. Anything I can do for them when I have the time or they want a program or something that I'm able to do and put together, volunteer, do for the day, I'm willing to do. Even though it wasn't my initial goal, just because I have a passion for it, I'm willing to do it. Laundromat I go to, there is a restaurant next door, and they have a sign with the autism symbol that says we support autism. I walked in hoping I could work with them or make some keychains with that, make some keychains or something, come up with some kind of opportunity, to work with them. And what they actually do is not about what necessarily what they do, but though I think it's great, they give 1,800 or 1,000 or $2,000 every year to my daughter's school, which is
Oh,
really
wow.
awesome. Right.
Mhm.
I'd love to do that, get to that pinnacle. But I said, you know what? I had another thing in mind. I honestly said that to them, but I would love to help out in any way I can with them for what they do. So, as I said, I do
So all of these ingredients start to motivate you and start to kind of connect, so to speak, with your ambition for the business, or your ambition just to, not only help your immediate family, but to keep you sane, pretty much, to make sure that you're strong enough to actually provide the services that you need for your family, and then it blossoms into a business. All of these things start to connect. Wow, that's very interesting, very very powerful.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah. And I want to have us, like, I know I'm not there yet. Yeah. Like I said, we all have that pinnacle where we want to be. I'd love to have a support group. I offer art classes to children. And again, anything we sell as far as our services, the classes, or whatever we do now or may ever do, I want to have awareness. The target is autism, but it's mental health, period. It's
Period. Yeah.
mental health. There's too many
And
caregivers.
this is just a big time to, mental health, unfortunately, with the pandemic and all of these things associated with the pandemic. people are finding or realizing what certain feelings are, thinking it's, oh, just my normal psyche. But then again, it's not. You're not supposed to feel this way every day.
Right.
So they're identifying with it. And the reason I wanted you to tell your story is well, first, you're the first person on this show to talk about mental health and these kinds of issues, um, from this perspective. And I wanted to make sure that our listening audience could see that not only does this exist more so than you think, but it doesn't have to be the end of anything. It could be the beginning of something bigger than you and your family, which is what you've actually turned it into by way of art. Who would know?
Correct. And we think making an impact, and I'm totally going off what I had here, but just real quick, we think making impact, and I mean just majority of society, there's always been this big idea that you have millions of dollars and you do this and you do that, and that meant made an impact. The millionaire making an impact by donating money is great. It's great. But you can make an impact by just being a carpool for somebody who doesn't have a car, for just
Mhm.
being that support. Like, I try to, for any family or friend, even if they just need something and it doesn't have anything to do with my business, because how you treat someone else is going to affect them. You don't know what they're going through. And hopefully they can pass that I say there's a difference between nice and kindness. Anyone can be nice. Kindness comes from inside. You can't fake forever what you're not and not go crazy. People can see through it. So when you have a business, your brand, you're selling something, people can sense that. So in that sense, be kind. Be kind.
Exactly. I always tell my students when I started my business back in 1990, I started the school. And what my main objective was, obviously, is to teach them computer technology because, it's T-Bird Computer School.
Mhm.
But in our curriculum, I wanted them to not only get the skills that they needed for a job, but I also wanted them to think about starting a business. And this goes all the way back to 1990.
Right.
And so it's always been our curriculum that our projects are surrounded around a mock business. And probably about 60% of our students, when they graduated the program, between then and now, they've actually put that to good use and started their own side job or, side hustle or whatever they call it today. But I always told them, stay true to yourself and always be honest, because the pendulum works both ways. If you do bad things, you get bad results. If you do good things, you get good results. And you got to be very cognizant of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you do it. And sometimes, like you said, you could have an impact on a person just because they called you up and said, "This is T-Bird Computers. How can I help you? I'm at my wits' end. My unemployment's run out. I don't have a job, no prospects," and go on and on and on. And I am a good listener. I like to listen to what you're saying. And while you're telling me your story, I'm trying to figure out at least 5 to 10 solutions, as many as I could come up with to tell you in that short period of time, so that now you encourage, but not with just one solution, as many as I can come up with. And I cannot tell you how many people have said to me over the years, and even just this week, you are a godsend. Just thank you for listening and thank you for giving me ideas. I have a new direction now. You don't know where I was, but I know where I'm going now. And it wasn't anything off my back. It didn't cost me anything except a little bit of time. And
Right.
it wasn't something that I had to really go out of my way to do. It was just something that came freely out of my spirit, that came to your spirit. And now you have a whole different aspect of how you're going to spend the rest of your day. So you're right. It's just simple things. You don't have to have a lot of money to inspire people. You only have to be able to be in the right place at the right time. And sometimes just listen and encourage, be honest, and be true. Be true to yourself and be true to the person that you're talking to, because you both benefit from it.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things I definitely did want to touch base on. So people use the term pushing the envelope and passion. And I studied business. I'm yet to finish that degree because I just went ahead and started the business after doing like half my credits.
Well, it
um,
will be your second degree, so congratulations.
Thank you. So I do understand some. So there's studying business, and like you just said, you have to remain true to yourself. But when you study business, you learn all these terms, and they say when you pick this and do this, you need to know that, you need to know that. I'm all about learning and understanding something paper wise, but then there's experience, then there's hands on. You have to Some people have money and they say, I want to start a business. Okay, I don't know what I want to do. Even if you have all the money, even if you have all the talent, whatever, you have to nourish it. You have to understand pushing the envelope and passion means, like when I'm really tired, somebody wants an order. It means sitting there and finishing that candle. You may not want to do it. I can love what I do, but I may not want to do it. But that's where it means pushing yourself beyond what you think you can do. I believe that there's a balance. Don't get me wrong. You need a balance. You can't burn a candle at both ends, as I think we both said, but don't be afraid to understand that the work is work. When you work for yourself, depending on what you do, it's not a guaranteed paycheck. People say that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
For some
Yeah.
reason, we have this, oh, I own a business. Okay, well, if a business fails within the first 5 years, statistically, it wasn't, you have to have a plan. It depends on how the layout is, everything that guarantees your success. And one of my big thing is, again, was it a passion? Did you really push yourself? And those two tie together. Did you not push yourself because it was not your passion? If something changed, did you just, there's ways to do it and you still want to work for yourself? Did you reinvent yourself to, as I said, I had a totally different field I was in, but the same concept. Did you allow yourself to embrace that concept with that new field or whatever else it is? It's possible. It's very possible. So I've learned, with that said, there's so many things going on. I knew I had to make a change. Now was going to be the time. I I studied business, and I suppose it was incorporated because of that, but I just realized it just doing it. There's reading and there's doing. So I had made a business plan. I've done excuse me, I've created promotional stuff and all those kinds of things. But when it came out to my business plan, that's when you're really digging deep and you're going, what is this? I could sit in my notebook and I think of something, I got to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in school, they say make a web, the big circle and then the line and then the other circles, and you do side notes. I could do that all day. I love notes.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, it just came flowing. I'm a creative person. Who is your target? Who is the target population of consumers? And depending on what field you're in, who are the patients and all that type of stuff, right? Two, what? The services, the niche, meaning what makes you different. You want to be different, okay? Being different is not a bad thing. Be different in a good way. Make an impact in that way. Three, where? Location is key. Four, when? The current events and times, be aware of what plays a key role. Like we were talking about, COVID hit everybody, young and old, no matter what mental state. Five, how can you meet that need? Six, why? And I have like 3 questions on this one. Why is this a need? Why is this your why? Why is this something that's making you driven? And why is it truly your passion? I know I'm
Mm-hmm.
using that word, but if you don't know that, you're not going to succeed. You're just not.
And it's important. And that's why the first thing you said is that, writing your business plan. People so many businesses or entrepreneurs, they want to pay somebody to write their business plan. That is the worst mistake you could ever make in your venture to start your business.
Right.
Because writing that business plan is like staking out your entire process
If
from
you can write a
beginning
resume, you can
to
write
end.
a business plan.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so important to be able to put down on paper in your own words the who, the what, the when, the why, and how, and all those other questions you have in between. And in addition to all of that, it needs to be an annual event. People think a business plan is written to start the business. No, it is yes and no. It's yes is needed to start the business. So now you got a roadmap and a list of things that you need to get done because you got to answer all these questions to build this story. You're building a book for
Right.
a person to read and understand the entire detail of your business. So if they're thinking about investing or supporting you, they know exactly what's in your mind and your thought process for the projection of this business. But then that annual thing is for you to plan each year and grow. And the
Right.
only way you're going to judge whether or not you have grown, and believe it or not, it's not about the money. So you make $1,000 this year, next year you make 2,000, then you think somehow you were successful? Not necessarily. You have to see where you have grown customers. You have seen whether or not you have grown in terms of your ratio for your profit margin. You have to see if your projected income for the next year can be substantiated by the actual numbers of this year. So it's a lot of components that go into this business process, but it's always going to be an annual thing that you do. Sometimes you might even have, depending on your business, like for me with technology, sometimes over these past years, I have redone my business plan on a quarterly basis because technology changes so much. We
Yes.
used to have a program where we just taught Microsoft 365. Well, now Google Workspace is number one and Microsoft is number two. So we
Yeah.
had to, before the year was out, that second quarter of 2021 or 2020, whichever that year where the pandemic was really bad and everybody was jumping on board trying to get virtual, that's
Hmm.
when Google Workspace just took off.
Right.
Well, I can't teach people 365 and not teach them Workspace. So I had to change that in midway. We had to redesign our business plan, add those new components in there, and then move forward. So you are absolutely on task. And I've not in so many years talked to a young entrepreneur businesswoman that got that. And you started this conversation down that path. And that means that you got it and you get it. So that's a plus for you, honestly. Just a
Thank you.
phenomenal because that's an ingredient for your future success.
And then I also wanted to add too, I had left off when I was saying, let's see here, why? Yeah, your why. So when we were talking about being true to yourself, you don't only represent you as an individual anymore. Yes, you still represent your family and how you appear to the world and all
Hmm.
that good stuff. But when I say a brand, and this is something that you are passionate about, I truly did not get that. And I hope you hear the passion in my voice. I did not get it. Like you hear these coaches say this when they're talking about their business and stuff like that. And that's great. But I really didn't get it. When I wasn't even thinking about my business, I'm like, 19, 20. I'm like, that'd be cool. I don't know what to do, right? But I
Hmm.
really didn't get it. I would love their passion, but I didn't get it until I realized mine. You are representing a brand. That brand has a purpose. I know my purpose. I'm telling you, between like, I'm not going to say like, not blasphemy. It was like a godsend in all the depression. Like, in all the depression, like I saw this light and I followed it and it led me out, right? So, you are selling yourself, right? So even when I worked as a debt collector and you know that's I'm laughing. I'm sorry, have to excuse me. That's because I'm in my head, I'm like, that's one of the worst jobs. I wasn't that bad at it. Okay. Even people who hate debt collectors on the phone with me, they'll be like, it's nothing against you. You seem very polite. I just don't like debt collectors. So I personally hate bad customer hate. Yes, I said hate bad customer service. Even in my call center jobs, even in my warehouse jobs, even in the debt collector jobs that I despise, but I did it and it made me who I am,
Mhm.
I always gave my best customer service. There is some form of customer service in your attitude that you give to your fellow employees, that you give to your supervisors, you give to your consumers, customers, whatever the situation may be. So I always go by the golden rule: treat others is the way you want to be treated. I take taekwondo and I take martial arts, right? My son takes taekwondo. I'm just getting into sparring. I take taekwondo and I've taken self-defense Krav Maga for 9 months now, almost a year, okay? I paid $250 when I started. I now pay $315 because what's included is the value. Not only do I pay for my son and I, but I'm also part of the leadership program, which I don't actually go to those meetings yet, but I'm going to start going soon, is because I get the value of the family like environment. It's ran by a couple. They have a second location. The one I go to is like 20, 15 minutes away from which I love, something close, 15, 20 minutes away from my house. The other one is about 45 minutes away. You get that family environment. Any help or anything like that they have come in that's considered employees, like them. You get to bring you get the family. I pay for the family membership, so again I get the guests. I'm not sure how many. I'm pretty sure there's a limit on guests, but you get one guest. They constantly have events to support those who are supporting them, meaning their members, their community. They had a St. Baldrick's, and this is my first time hearing about them, but we all know cancer exists. It's a pediatric cancer organization. I did not make it, unfortunately, but I'm going to go online and donate. They will have events here and there for families like that, like it just happened to be that, for a family with a daughter with pediatric cancer. They had people shaving their head. They had people
Mm.
bake and sell cookies. They had people come and buy cookies and so forth. So I get that true family vibe. Not once in the almost the year that I've been going there have I ever felt any reason that I've had bad customer service that I would not want to throw my money at them, as long as I keep getting that consistency.
Mhm.
People
Mhm.
buy value. I'm telling you, I paid $250 a month. I now pay 300 move. I'm sorry, I have a cat. $315 a month. I see true value in that. You need to give people a reason to let you be, as far as your brand, be of use far as service, be of use far as buying something. What are they supporting?
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, like, I'm laughing because people joke like I spend at least minimum 5 hours there, easily 8 hours at that place, just practicing taking my son wet. Okay. But you get where I'm going with this. You
Yeah,
get good
definitely.
vibes. People don't buy crap. People don't
Definitely.
buy crap. If you give bad customer service, I don't care how great the product is. There was an episode of, I can't think of the name of the show, where it's a show with investors and people present the product on TV and then people buy in a certain amount. You know the show I'm talking about. And this guy had a great product to like hold the ties or something like that on a men's suit, but they did not like the man. People
Mhm.
decide, consumers decide within 30 seconds of contact whether that service or product is worth their time. And again, we're talking about, again, I've said it
That's
several times,
right.
we're talking about the experience and we're talking, yeah, you have the product, but does that give it, that's what gives it value. So when I say be confident and be true, be genuine, people know when it isn't real. They know that within that 30 seconds. You give that away. So again, you're a true representation to your brand. Be who you are. It's okay. Don't pay attention to that negative stuff out there, because that really does impact you, but take it for what it's worth. But don't let it drag you
Mhm.
down that you no longer see value, because then you're losing confidence. You're not going to
Exactly.
customers like that. You're not going to make a difference like that. And no, it's not all about money. But guess what? If you know you need to sell, guess what? Don't sell crap. People will not buy crap. I will not buy crap. I will not sell or give an experience I wouldn't buy. That's offensive.
And it's all about relationships. I mean, the way the world goes around is about relationships. And you have to build those relationships with people, especially people that have kind of not, I wouldn't say always have gone out their way for you,
Hmm.
but if they have provided you with an opportunity to grow your business or expand your product or your brand, the pendulum again works both ways, and you really have to show your appreciation of the value that they provided you with, because everyone's time is important. Everyone's concept of what is of value to them could be different. For you, it could be, your value for this show could be the fact that you were able to express yourself, because you really did do a quick webinar show on business basics, and so your value to the show is kind of unique, because usually students, I mean, my students, my guests come on and they just try to promote, they really kind of want to promote their business.
Hmm.
But for you, the last 41 minutes, you've been talking about things that will help other businesses be successful. And so the value for you was to get your message out about that. The value for me was to have you on the show and just give a different perspective from the Windy City, Chicago, Chi-Town. My husband always calls it Chi-Town. And then, I also wanted you on the show because, you're a young entrepreneur. You got that backstory. I wanted you to motivate other people your age to really look at the what could become positive of something that may be draining for you, or maybe, stressful for you, but how you could take that and turn it into, and that's what I got from the pre-show when I met you. You
Hmm.
have taken the things that you had to deal with your entire life and turned it into positive, opposed to focusing in on the negative. And so when you bring that value across in your when you're authentic with that value, people, like you said the same thing. They know it, they feel it, and they want to gravitate towards you because they know that you're going to take them somewhere that's going to be positive and that's going to be good. But if you discount what people have done for you and you get what you want from them, and then they don't ever hear from you again, that's going to be some karma. It's definitely going to damage your product. It's going to damage your service, and it's going to damage other people wanting to provide you with anything that's going to help them or you simultaneously, because they're afraid of it.
Right.
It has to be about each other, opposed to just me and what I'm doing. And you demonstrate that tonight with your presentation. And I know that this has to be one of your workshops. I know you know that, right?
I actually, after we did our pre-show, my notebook has, I actually started, not saying you'll laugh like you think it's funny. I'm actually like, it's probably more notes than it is because I'm a perfectionist. Even in school, when I would write papers, I'd be like, da, 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 da. I actually started writing stuff where I would like to make not an audio book, but like an online book or something to go
Yeah.
with like my YouTube stuff. So I'm gonna, I have a lot going on, but I'm going to do it.
Good. And you know what else, Nicole? You told me you have a degree, a bachelor's degree in I don't want to call it exercise. What
Exercise
is
and
it?
physical science.
Physical science. That's the word I was looking for. Physical science. And I believe truly that that degree that you already have has been a great foundation to the things that you want to do and that you are doing and where you are actually going, because it's discipline. I also want to say that the job that you had with the credit repair,
Hmm.
that was a discipline to be able to, because what I heard from you, and you didn't really say it specifically, but what I heard from you was that although you had to collect that debt, you still gave them good, decent customer honest service, where you didn't, talk down to them. You didn't make them feel like they were rotten people because they fell behind in their bills. And that was a skill that you learned because of that job. And that's the way you wanted that job to be, opposed to the next person that would get on there and act mean and nasty, thinking that would make a difference. Because all that does is turn people off. You know, I may have wanted to pay you, but because you were so mean, I'm never going to pay you.
Right.
But you know what? Because you were so nice, you know what? I should probably do the right thing and pay it. You
Right.
know, so it's all about delivery. And I think that for you, in all of the things that we discussed yesterday and today, I think your business model is not only going to be successful because of your dedication and the commitment that you have to it, but how you want to help others along the way. And I can tell you, I've done that my entire career. And I might not have gotten where I really wanted to be with my business, but I never lost one thing. Never. Even when I was in a situation where my 10,000 square foot building, the lights were getting ready to be turned off or the tax bill was due, everything always came. Those dollars came when I needed it.
Right.
Maybe not when I wanted it, but it always came when I needed it. And I knew that was nothing but God paying me back for what I had done and was supposed to do for others. So as long as you stay in that focus world that you're in, since 2 weeks when you got adopted and the commitment to your parents, you know, and what I really kind of love, which touched my heart, you was like, yeah, I'm really more like my dad. That was powerful to me because you were adopted.
Yes.
But yet you had that connection with the man that raised you and you felt you were part of him. That's powerful. Very
Yeah.
powerful.
My I'm sorry. So
I didn't
uh
mean to tell you off.
oh no, it's fine. No, I really do miss, no, when you said that, like I really do miss my dad. Like, you know how you were, I don't know if you were daddy's girl. I was daddy's girl. So it always makes me like cry inside.
Yeah.
As much as some people may laugh at that. Tell me who doesn't do that if you were daddy's girl and then that person isn't there anymore.
Well, you know what? Unfortunately, I was not. And I
Okay.
don't have great memories like you do of my dad, and he's still alive.
Mhm.
Um, but I am happy for women who do.
Right.
I could be bitter, I could be mad about it, but some people, you know, I always say that if you didn't have a good parent, God always gives you either a good husband or a good wife. He replaces that void somewhere in your life, whether it's your children, whether it's a best friend, or it's a stepmom, or God will always provide that emptiness that you don't get from that parent in
Hmm.
another form. And
Right.
when you do get that, you got no reason to be upset. You got no reason to be sad. And I
Absolutely.
have that. I have that in my son. I have that in my husband. I got it in my grandson. I had a wonderful mother, you know, so I kind of don't even really miss the fact that my dad feels the way he does about me because I feel like that's his loss, not mine.
Absolutely. Yeah, so back to, I just want to finish this last point out. So Lady Day Art Expressions, like I said, we're more than just a company. Yeah, we offer services as far as the arts and crafts and the DIY service and the how-tos and the handmade gifts and products. It's not to down talk that, but it's in knowing that you're supporting a community, you're supporting people,
Yeah.
that you're giving back. That's what matters. I use my platforms to not only participate, volunteer, and I can't speak today, promote and mental health and physical health services, but there's always been such a stigma. And this stuff that I do, it's in real time. It's not in the time of, like, I live in Chicago, right? So I'm going to say it's not in the time of the state of Illinois or the government taking forever to pass a law that helps us. This
Hmm.
is now. And we don't believe, like my daughter, I believe I said it, she's nonverbal for the most part. That's my baby, but it does get very hard. So I understand that. And I've met several people, you attract this, whatever happens. I believe everything happens for a reason, to each your own. I met several people say the same thing about their kids or a different level of autism. It's, I embrace it and I'm trying to enrich my daughter. So my
Hmm.
daughter loves art. Everyone else may not love art. That's fine. But I want people to get the fact that mental health and all this other stuff, these diseases, it's not just a stigma. Do something with yourself. Like I tell my kids, do
Yeah.
something with yourself.
Yeah.
Don't sit there bored. So that's just about the business. I'm not just trying to close it out. That's just about the business. I don't know if you have
That's
any
about
other
the business. Yeah.
questions.
That's wonderful. Your presentation is excellent, and
Thank you.
be proud of yourself. Be really proud of yourself. You know what I'm really amazed at, Nicole, is how something so fundamental with the health issues, the just the whole spectrum that you're approaching. How you just brought something so simple like art into it to make. I mean, everybody loves arts and crafts. Everybody loves art. I mean, everybody who even is not artistic or doesn't have that creative side, what they do know is they can try and they can have fun at it, and it'll take you into a world where all of your negative things that are going on in your life don't get to come in that space. I can just let it go for a minute and have some fun and just explore everything that I could possibly do, because it only takes a few little pieces of not equipment, but little pieces, a little bit of tools, paper, paint, that kind of thing. And then the next thing you've taken yourself into another world and created something that is so unique to you and makes you feel good. And then you give it to someone and it makes them feel even better. So you've married two things that are really, really a good idea. And I think that you could take this to all sorts of different levels. Um, when it comes to the services that you provide with the health issues that people have their mindset, and just the world we live in now. People just need an out. They just
Right.
need something to make them feel good and comfortable and calm.
And I do want to say this before our time ends. So, one thing, as selfish as it may sound, but I think it was equal. Messengers, it's like text, so it's not exactly like being over the phone. I am having I'm part of one of these art contests online, where they support businesses and whoever the winner is, and they have friends and family vote. So I did a post on all my social media platforms. It's called DIY Hero. Mine is under Amanda Walker. I'm not going to read it all off because I don't know it by heart.
Okay.
But under the post, and I tagged like 97 of my friends on Facebook, just so people are aware, like, hey, so what I do is when I do those type of posts, I put my hashtags and I copy and paste everything. Copy and paste my hashtags. So when I do it on my other platforms, even if Facebook doesn't need it, then it's just there for the other ones, right? I had someone who's a friend of a friend, you know how Facebook works, say beautiful, did my interaction. I said thank you. And it kind of went from there. And even though I don't offer it as services, it's nothing against it. It's just people kind of pick up on that from my personality, I guess. One of my jobs was a mental health center. I worked as a resource developer or something like that. Basically, totally said the title wrong. What I did was I found resources in the community and I gave them to the families that came in. So this person so when I finished my conversation out in the comments, we were go back and forth. I pretty much said, "It's so nice to meet you. If you need any information, because I had mentioned the events that are coming up. You have the Autism Speaks, which it's going to be Best Buddies this year. It's not Autism Speaks, but there's Autism Speaks, Best Buddies, MS, the suicide prevention one I can't think of the name of, and all those other ones. Oh, the Fight for Air. I'm signed up for that one as well. So I said, if you want to take part or volunteer in any of that stuff, I have information on that, or you need help with anything, I can find it. And they told me their daughter had, I might say it wrong, Asperger's. I don't know how to say Asperger's, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I went into Messenger, and I honestly, maybe, and I'm going to look more, but I did what I would eat. It wasn't, it's not like a caseload or anything like that. I looked in their area. I looked at their profile, said, this is where you live, right? And I said, nice to meet you, da, da, da. We exchanged. I said, okay. I said, how old is she? Da da da. Because in my mind, I'm going back to that game plan. How you find that roadmap? How old is this person? What do they like? What area do you live in? And mind you, they initially asked for a support group. When I gave them the information for Best Buddies, mind you, they are their a whole separate organization other than myself, but they can redirect you to classes that your child can take. They can redirect you to support groups. And then at the last one of the other resources I sent them, and this is the whole reason I didn't send them another one, is because it amazed me, and I was glad I found it. Google, I don't want to call it complicated, but it'll give you a whole list of da 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 da.
Right.
All I had to do was send them that one link, and I'm familiar with that kind of thing. And it was like a resource for their whole state.
Wow.
Yes, and I don't know if you could feel it, but I have happy vibes coming off of me because I know it helped that person.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're going to use it. So yeah, that's just like my inspiration. Like when people really say, like, I don't want to say it's my first time experience, but when you really experience that you help somebody, it's an awesome feeling. It's an awesome
feeling. It is. It is. It is. And you can tell when they're genuine. And sometimes, you'll get somebody that, you think they're genuine, and then you really find out that they're not. One of my colleagues told me, she said, Trina, she said, you have to be so careful, because when people find out that you're a giver and not a taker, they start taking from you immediately. And that stuck with me. That always stuck with me. And, you don't want to judge people initially. So you want to just give. And I came to the conclusion, I'm just going to be a giver. You do it with it what you want. And if you become a taker, I'm going to know sooner or later. And then you've missed out on more opportunity because I found you out. But I'm not going to be a taker or a non-giver. And I don't know at all who and what you are. I got to give first to find out if you are a giver or you are a taker. So it's just best to always give and try to help as many people along the way, because you never know when you're going to need that same help from another complete stranger. So absolutely. I commend you, for what you're trying to do, and just keep doing it, because like you said, it's a great feeling, and it just goes a longer way than turning your back or not helping somebody, when all it would take you is a few seconds of your time to make a powerful difference in someone's life. And I'm a way bit older than you, and I've been in business since I was in my 30s, and now I'm in my 60s. And for 32 years, I've used that model, and it works. It just works, and people respect you. And they can feel you when you're coming. You said that from the beginning. People are going to know if you're authentic or you're fake. They're going to know it right off the bat. So you stay focused with what you're doing, and addressing these mental health issues to your company. And you are doing more than just your company. You're doing social community work as well, which is outside the spectrum of your business. So when you bring those ingredients together, it just makes for a powerful tool that'll take you many places in life. And it's not, like you said, all about money. It's about feeling good about what you've done to help someone else. So I commend you for your good work, and you keep it up. You keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, and you had said it yourself as well. I just want to end on a note that you said when you were talking about, like, you weren't sure when the lights were going to go out in one of your buildings, right? What is going to happen is going to happen. You can only roll with it. It's a whole nother segment, something else, but you can only do the best that you can. I was just writing something where I was just recently writing about how you have to it's okay to realize, it's okay to accept, and it's okay to strive, but don't give up.
Don't give up.
That's what matters.
Oh, wait, before we go, I want to play this, and I want you to describe it, because I really think it's cool, but I'm going to play it. Give me 1 minute.
That
you did that for the show, correct?
Yes, that is one of my commercials that I've made, showing obviously the art classes as being one of our services, but in the front, and I'm always debating on when I make those. I did that sketch, and then I also made that painting, and then I make candles, I make soap. So whatever you saw in there, I made. For the most part,
Wonderful,
I made
wonderful.
it.
And that $20 rate is for our listening audience. So that's your giveaway to our listening audience. And so thank you very much. And I know, that's a very reasonable, cost effective price. And we appreciate your commitment to the show. And we just wish you much success and much growth. And we will check back with you sometime at the end of the year to see how things are going. I always like to do an update with our guests, not just have you on and never talk to you again. So we like to build relationships with our guests. Just to see if we can put two people together that may be able to help each other, or I can help in some kind of way, or a listening, someone in the audience that watched the show may have some questions, or want to have you do their program for their organization. So we hope that this broadcast helps to grow your brand, and I think it will. And I appreciate your time and your efforts, especially with the hour difference in the time. We made it on time, and everything worked out really, really great. So thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Any
Yes,
closing remarks?
that hour mistake was, as Bob Ross says, it was a happy mistake.
Happy. Like good
Thank you
trouble.
so
Good
much for
trouble.
everything. You have a good
You're
evening.
so welcome. You take care now. Bye bye. Thank you for tuning in to T Bird Live. This was a great opportunity to showcase another important business out of Chicago, Illinois. Last week we were North Carolina. The week before that we were Kissimmee, Florida. Our show is nationwide. We're not Oprah yet, but we're trying to get there. So if you have a business that you want to highlight on T Bird Live, just give us a call. Check us out. We are on Facebook. You can go to at T Bird Live eShow, and there you will find information about our show. You can message me, and you can be a guest on our show. We are booked all the way through the end of June. So the next available dates are in July. So if you want to get on the show, just give us a call. We look forward to hearing from you. Take care, and everybody have a safe and wonderful rest of your evening and week.